This has been amazing. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm super excited to share a little bit about my research about empowerment. And I have to tell you, I started asking more than 1,000 people around the world in 27 different countries and 17 different languages an important question for this world, which is, what is empowerment? And of course, I got a lot of different answers because as I'm sitting here saying what is empowerment to you all, you're probably thinking about what your answer is for it. Well, I started to sort through all of these answers and I came up with a Google definition, right? That's what we do. We Google things and we look it up and we're like, what's going on in the world? And Google told me that empowerment is, and I summed it up for you, it's authority and power connected to people. Well, that is what I like to call the app of empowerment, and I'm going to share a little bit about that with you all today so you can kind of incorporate this in your everyday life. And then I'm going to share the 4 steps that you can use to quantify it and make it actionable for everything that you do in this world. So let's break down this definition real quickly. Authority, because I'm certain that you were probably writing down maybe what you thought empowerment was. And yes, of course, it's emotion. We've all been talking on the stage here at this amazing TED event. And yes, it's of course all of the humanistic centric feelings. It's you being the boss. It's you owning your own life. It's you making decisions. It's you deciding to be here today. It's you deciding to wake up and come and be a part of this amazing event or to tune in and watch on your computer. But it's also all of the emotional stuff about loving and compassion and empathy and trust and emotional connection. These were some of the answers that I had to sort through. I'm sitting there looking at all these responses, and I made it a short form field response. I took advantage of the pandemic and did this study, and I sent it out to people around the world because I really wanted to find out what they thought. And yes, of course, we're pretty complicated people in this world. Our brains all operate differently, as you've heard from many different TED speakers around the world. And they tell you that human nature is hard to measure and hard to quantify. And this is exactly why empowerment has a different answer for everyone. But I will tell you that 85% of all the answers that I got from my study told me that it was something related to authority. And so we call authority the emotional side, the emotional connection of empowerment. So you may be wondering, Ashley, what is the flip side of this empowerment? Well, we'll go to the other side, right? It has to be the power. So if you're like me and you ended up using a car today to get here, and you didn't plug it in last night, whoops, you might realize that you didn't have enough power to get here this morning. Yes, that did happen to me. And I showed up and I was like, wow, this thing was not charging last night. I had it plugged in just into the wall, thinking that that was going to work. Oops. But let me just tell you, I had to drive myself. Luckily, there was a fast charger and I found one and I plugged in. And you know what the car told me? It told me an exact percentage of what the battery had. Right? You may have one of these devices, right? That I know you all have one of these devices, right? It's a phone, right? It tells you exactly how much percentage you have. You're always being measured and judged by power itself. Always, every day, right? There are some other power items, right? Like this one, right? Every single form of currency is something you're being measured for and against in your account. And trust me, I worked in the banking industry for 11 years. Even when the power goes out, they know how much money you have in your account or don't have in your account. Okay, it's called a ledger, okay? And this is really important to know because someone's counting and measuring this information every single second of every single day. But the most powerful of all the power items that we heard from the responses was, of course, our time. And we're all being counted and measured about being up here on the stage and sharing our thoughts with you in this moment. And I have to tell you that that is exactly why power is so hard to count and measure, because it's already happening. So you have to take advantage of this opportunity to realize that empowerment is, of course, both the emotional side and it's the power side. The power side is being counted. The emotional side, whoo, we sometimes have a hard time sharing our emotions in this world. So this is really, really important to understand. And what I have to tell you is, of course, what connects these two things is people. So people told us, yes, they said, oh, well, empowerment is, of course, me being able to spend more time with my family. Last night I got to have dinner with my 2 kids, and it was the most powerful thing of all the empowerment things that I've done this week, was being there and having dinner with them. But I have to tell you, that's just one piece of this, right? How are we supposed to know what's happening? Well, tracking and measuring empowerment is the secret to success. And I said, wow, now we got a whole lot of answers about what is empowerment. Let's ask the world, what limits your ability to have more empowerment? Because if it's about you and about your love and about your family and about you tracking results, there must be some barriers to this world. And this answer here about what limits your ability to have more empowerment, of course, I got a lot of answers. And I will have to tell you, was that 63% of the people who answered this question, they told me it was themselves. So just start with the mirror. And the mirror tells you that usually we take ownership as humans and blame ourselves for everything that usually goes wrong, 63% of the time. People said the word I. I haven't gone to enough school. I haven't taken enough courses. I haven't learned enough languages. We started hearing the excuses. I don't have enough confidence, or I don't have the ability to get up on the stage and talk to people, or maybe I'm not good at building relationships. Maybe, it's people taking ownership in this. Maybe I don't have enough money. Maybe I feel like I can't be in this room, in this space, because of my own feelings and my own confidence. So we heard the 63%. And I started to think, wow, what was the other percentage of the answers? And the other percentage of the answers was, of course, people saying that society was impacting them. And they would say, oh, well, my coworker gives me weird looks every day when I come in. I might not be respected for who I am or how I live my life in this world. These are some of the answers that I got from this survey. And I have to tell you, we came up with this concept of what we call the 10 empowering differences. And the differences should never scare people ever. But if you don't combine empowerment and differences together, that's where we can have problems in this world. And if you're not quantifying the success of people's differences, this is also where you can create obstacles. Obstacles come when people feel threatened, or people think that they're going to have an opportunity taken from them. That is not what differences are about. Differences are about an opportunity to recognize that you can learn and grow and sell more things to more people who are different, to build relationships with more people who are different, to expand your global horizon. And this is exactly why the 10 empowering differences are so powerful. So how do you do this? Well, I said, let me ask one more really important question. What is it that you do to drive empowerment for people? And this is how I got to the 10 empowering actions. So there are 10 actions to impact people, and there are 10 differences. So you're wondering, Ashley, what are the 10 differences? Well, of course, that would be our abilities and attributes, our age, our social economic class, our education, our ethnicity, our gender, our language, our race, our religion, our sexuality, or whatever else that you say is something that you might have as a difference with other people in the world. And that, I tell you, is something to be celebrated. It's something to be excited about. It's something to recognize that you have to own this moment and you have to do something specific to impact that difference. If you think as a leader, you can just show up and do the same thing every day for every person who walks into your organization, you are highly mistaken. You may work a little bit, you make some impact, yes, but if you're wanting to do social economic class empowerment and impact people who don't have money, well, that requires invest. If you want to impact someone who has an ability difference, well, then that would mean you need to create more access points for people. So access would be your action that you need to focus on. If you want to impact gender, then you want to do more inclusion work. If you want to impact any one of these differences, like language, for example, then you need to be focusing on how you build more communication for people. So every single difference has an action that you should be doing every single day. And this is kind of a lot. So let's do the 4 steps because that will help you do it all day long. So the 4 steps are very simple because just like any leadership model that you will experience in the entire world, they all start with you. So open up your phone, grab a mirror, aka selfie camera, point it at you and think to yourself, what are you doing to exist in this world and how is the world impacting you? Think about yourself. How do you feel about being in this room today? How do you connect with other people who are in this world? Do you help them? Do you help yourself? Do you build relationships? These are just some of the questions that you should be asking yourself. Now, there are a lot of self-assessments that you can do to ask yourself how you can know yourself. And if you need more, you can definitely connect with me. It's pretty easy to find me on the old Googler, okay? So think about that. But also, remember that step 2 is, of course, about knowing others. This is how you get to see whatever differences that you don't know about. You should show up in that room. So as you heard from my bio, of course, right? I got a job in the banking industry, probably the least likeliest place for someone like me to ever end up. And yes, I was a part-time teller. Then I was a banker. Then I was a business banker. Then I was an investment banker specializing in insurance risk mitigation and learning about portfolio diversification and building strategic wealth for people. And I did all these things in about 4 years, and then I became the national vice president of the whole bank. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I was in a lot of spaces that I wasn't normally in. And I have to tell you that this opportunity came to me. But it wasn't just because of one thing. It was because I put myself in spaces that I wasn't expected to be in. Okay? Don't unfriend people because you disagree with them politically. Get to hear their position. Put yourself in their space. Have a conversation with them. So I started showing up to the employee resource group events that I wasn't expected to ever be at. So here I was at the faith-based employee resource group. Here I was at the Asian American employee resource group event. I walk in, and of course, there's the wealth advisor and the head of capital markets and the chief economist for the bank. And I said, wow, this is pretty cool. I wasn't expecting to meet the chief economist today. And it was really cool because it definitely was not on my radar. But by going outside my comfort zone and going into a space that I wasn't expected, because trust me, I started getting involved in the community, learning about people who were different. And I show up at the Hispanic Bar Association. And they said, Ashley, why are you here? And if you get asked the why are you here question, you are 100% in the right place, okay? 100%. And that is exactly what started to happen to me. And I said, you know what? We have all these differences, but we should be learning about each other because we can build a stronger partnership for the future. And so building partnerships for the future is exactly why this work is so important. And it led me to figure out step 3, which is to develop your strategy. Because certain actions and certain differences should go together, like I was telling you earlier. And so that's what you have to do. You start realizing that if you have empowerment, and I really advise you to measure how empowered you are. Okay, this is when I realized that there was a strategic problem that exists, is that not everyone can measure their own empowerment. So if you need help with that, also come see me afterwards or find me online. You'll do that. And when you want to do this, you have to rate yourself, back to the knowing yourself process. Rate yourself for how empowered you are, not just in general, but rate it against your empowering differences that you have. Because if you do this, we'll be able to work together, right? You'll be able to work on your own. You'll be able to uncover what it is you should be doing, because think of empowerment as like a train moving on a track. And as you all know, in some places there are trains and multiple tracks right next to each other. Have you ever been on a track and then seen another train go right by, right? And you're like, whoo, that's close. Oh my gosh. And that is exactly what empowerment is doing. One might be going this way, and then one should definitely, hopefully, at some point, might work its way back towards you. If you are disempowered for something, this is where strategy is so important. If you are disempowered for something, then that means you need to be doing some self-empowerment. You should be helping yourself. You should be doing things to build yourself back up. You should be going out and investing in that course, or taking that certification, or using Duolingo. Should be doing those things to build yourself back up. But if you are already empowered, then that means that you should be doing things to impact other people. And which difference, that tells you what you should do. So people would think, Ashley, what's your gender empowerment? Well, I happen to be on a 10 or a 100 on a scale of 0 to 100. I'm 100 empowered for my gender. Now, a lot of people would think that might be the opposite, but that's not the case. I'm very empowered because I'm very comfortable with who I am in this world. And then that means that then I should be doing things to help other people with their gender empowerment. So that's why I hosted a conference on a cruise ship and invited people to come via scholarship to be there for more gender empowerment. And so what are you doing to impact people's differences? Are you doing something strategic to help them build more resources for their difference in their community? Well, then you should be doing a certain action. So gender, I said, I was inclusion. So I created an inclusive program to bring people in a space that they weren't ever used to being in. And that is what named me Woman of the Year by the state of Florida a couple of years ago. And that is what prompted me to do so much more work for my community. And of course, if you didn't figure it out yet, the fourth and final step, yes, of course, is the 10 empowering actions. The 10 actions are necessary. You should be doing all of them. But if I asked you to do 10 actions for 10 differences, I'm asking you to do 20 things at once. That's really difficult. Don't try to do 20 things at once. Be strategic in recognizing whether you're empowered or disempowered, and rate that. That's why you have to follow the 4 steps. It's so important. So be thinking about the 10 actions and the 10 differences, because every day you have an opportunity to drive empowerment for people. It's your moment in time. It's your opportunity to impact those who might not even realize that they hold on to all the empowerment they will ever need. I've been through so much in my life, being homeless and navigating things and being attacked and assaulted. But every single time, I always thought about what I did have and how I could build past that point. And we all have each other in this moment, because we'll always have been in this opportunity to impact not only ourselves, but the most vulnerable people in the world. And that's the opportunity that you have to seize in this day and in this moment. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time. So remember, step 1 is to know yourself. Step 2 is to know others. Step 3 is to develop that strategy, right? Which differences, which actions, in which settings. And then the 4th and final step is, of course, those actions. And what you do is to take action for others makes the impact and drives empowerment for everyone in your world. Thank you so much.